Hey, welcome back to the channel. It's been a while since my last video, but here we go again. So one of the questions I get a lot is about mobility and when is it not enough mobility, and how do I kind of get rid of issues. So today I'm going to do a video with 3 exercises or tests I do regularly with my patients and athletes, just to quickly screen if there are any range of motion mobility issues. So one of the best ways to keep clear of injuries regardless of your sport is to make sure your body is able to move as intended. If you're not able to move as intended, you'll start moving in ways that may lead your way into an overuse injury or maybe even an overload injury because of pulling vectors that are not good for you. So I'll guide you through a series of 3 tests that I use daily with my athletes and patients to kind of screen them quickly. And I'll give you small recommendations to what you can do to improve your range of motion if you are not able to perform the tests as prescribed. So the first test is really simple. It's an ass to the grass test with an overhead pole above your head. This test will quickly show if you have any problems in your ankle mobility around your hip, and also in your ability to do thoracic extension, like your upper back extension. So this movement in the upper back to go back here. If you are lacking any of these, it could be something you'll have to work with. If you have a problem with the ankles, it'll severely challenge how you move. If you're a runner, if you're a climber or anything like that, the way you move out over your ankle, if you're not able to have enough of the dorsal flexion, like the toes upwards, you'll start, if you're a runner, you might start running with a bit of external rotation. If you're a climber who needs the ability to dorsiflex a lot for smearing or whatever, you'll have problems in this area. Also, if you have I see a bit in climbers with really bad dorsiflexion, when we jump onto the mats, every time we jump down, our heel goes lower and we can get kind of a pinching on the front of our ankles. So the test is super simple. You get like a mop or something. You need a pole, just like this. So what you want to do is you want to stand in a squat position, so like with your feet a bit wider than your hips on both sides. So if you go to your aces and grab the pole down, your foot should be on the outside of this, and the same on the other side here. So you take the pole, you put it on your head, and you let your arms go to like 90 degrees, and then you push the pole above your head. What we want to be able to do here is just go into a deep squat. So you go down into the squat here, and what we want to see here is, are you able to keep the pole above your feet? So right above here. So I can show it from the side also. So I go into the same position to start with. Pole above my head, 9 degrees in the angles, in the elbows, and push it above, and go straight down into here and up again. So if you try this test, where we mostly see people fail is that when they go down, they aren't able to like go into the deep squat. They'll need to go up on their toes. Then we'll be missing a bit of dorsiflexion in the ankles. If we're not able to have our hands above the feet, then we might be missing a bit of thoracic extension. Now, depending on where you have trouble with this test, there are different ways to work with it. Now, let's start with the ankles. So if we have problem with ankle mobility, so then you'll be going up on your toes when you have to go down here. So if you need to go up on your toes, we want to work a bit with the ankle mobility. And one way to do this is just sit down in a low, like a lunge position, with your weight out over your knees, and you just go as far forward as you can and put some weight until your knee. Try to keep the heel in. If it floats a bit, it doesn't matter too much, but keeping weight over your knee. Trying to keep this position for 30 to 45 seconds. Do it 4 times on each foot. So it's a bit different where people will feel a stretch or a pinch. So if it's a muscle related thing, you'll feel a stretch on the back of your calf. And if it's more of a mobility thing in the joint, you'll maybe feel a bit of pinching on the front of your ankle in this area over here. But try and keep the position. When you have done this stretch 4 times with a small break in between, start doing the same stretch, but when you go out, put the weight on, you push your knee inwards. And you keep it again, 30 to 45 seconds, and go out of it. So when we push inwards a bit, we start working with opening up the joint. And go out, push in, and keep again for 30 to 45 seconds. So a good way to track your progress with your ankle mobility is to have something like using the broom again. And you go out from the broom and you put a set distance from it. Maybe you start around in 8 centimeters or something. Keep your heel in and touch with your knee. So in this test, you should see yourself being able to move further and further away from this pole as you gain more ankle mobility. Of course, you repeat for both sides. Yeah. So if your problem is that you can go into the squat, but you can't keep your hands above the feet, so you're missing a bit of shoulder mobility, thoracic extension, then you need to work with loosening up your back and being able to do this movement like behind with the top of your head here. So we want to work a bit with our back. So for this, I usually use like a foam roller. And you do very basic foam rolling. So you get on the ground. Put this like between your scapula, your shoulder blades. And you can have your arms like this on the chest, or you can keep them behind your head like this. And just start rolling your back. And this should be like a twice weekly routine at least. Just when watching Netflix or evening. And it doesn't have to be a lot. Just for a few minutes every day. And you should slowly start to see progress in your ability to do a thoracic extension. So the second test we want to work on is something called an APPLEYS scratch test. So for this test, it's I'm pretty sure everybody has already tried to do this test, maybe not aware of what the name of it is. This test will look into your ability to do internal and external rotation in the glenohumeral joints. And you perform it just like this. So I'll show you. Usually I just sit for this test, so you can be seated in any way, but just keep an upright position. You put one hand in the back, another here, and you should get your fingers to touch. If you're not able to get your fingers to touch on the back here or grab them, you can measure the distance between them. But what we want to see, if you have problems getting your lower hand high enough, like to the bottom of the opposite shoulder blade, you'll be missing internal rotation. If you're unable to get the upper arm to touch the top of the opposite shoulder blade, you'll be missing external rotation. But it's still just fairly simple to work on. For this, I just grab something. It can be a towel or a yoga band like I use. What you want to do is just get the yoga band or whatever onto your back. You put it just like this, and if you're missing this hand to go higher, it's maybe all the way in the lumbar region here, you just pull it up, keep it tight, and always remember to in this exercise to keep a straight posture. So don't slouch in it or take the neck forward. Be upright and pull up. Keep it for around 30 seconds and release. And the same if you need external rotation. Keep an upright position. Pull down. I can grab it lower if I want to. Pull down. Get the arm in. Hold it for around 30 seconds and release. And you can repeat. I suggest 3 to 6 times each arm, maybe 2 times a week for this test. And it's easy to test. See how close your fingers get to each other. You can measure if it's external rotation you're missing. Does the upper arm descend towards the other? Are you seeing progress in it? So it's really easy to track the progress in this one. And it's super important in everything from swimming to climbing, overhead sports in general. Because if we don't have enough mobility in our shoulders, it mostly leads to some kind of overuse injury at some point. So the third test we're going to look into today is mobility around the wrists. And this is really a pet peeve of mine because not a lot of people test this regularly, and it's often a cause of some kind of overuse, typically on the outside of the elbow, especially in climbers and people who work a lot, like on desk and type a lot. So the way we test this is simply you grab one arm. First we test the able to do dorsal flexion. So here, straight arm, lock out the elbow, and we should be able to get into 90 degrees this way. So that is the flexor group of the bottom here. And now we go for the extensor group. So again, straight arm, lock out the elbow, and go into a stretch here. Here again, we should be able to do 90 degrees over the wrist. And if we're able to do that, then we are in a good place regarding our range of motion in the long group on the wrist. We can check the shorter group as well. For that, we do a fist. We do 90 degrees in the elbow, and we grab the wrist and trying to release the tension in the wrist. So you just grab the wrist and you try and put it into 90 degrees as well. And this should be able to go into the 90 degrees around the wrist as well. If you're not able to do any of these, it's really, really simple. Exactly the stretches that are not going into the 90 degrees, those are the ones that you want to do. So we see a problem with the shorter groups where you do the fist and try to go into 90 degrees this way. I like to work with my ankles like when I'm on the floor. So usually I'm standing on all fours, lock out the elbows and move as far as I can out over my wrists. Keep for a few seconds and go back. We're doing this as well for the other group. Now we just move the other way. So you keep the elbows locked out, move as far back as you can, hold for a few seconds, and go back again. And keep repeating this. To start with, it will feel really weird to have like weight on your wrists in this position, but it's an exercise that you see in a lot of sports that are really wrist intensive, gymnastics and stuff like that. And you'll see a lot of people being able to do like planks and stuff like that. And you can work towards that as well. So slowly when you're in this position, start putting more and more weight on your wrist, lock out the elbows and be able to like go up into the plank in this position, holding it and release. So do this like a part of your warm-up routine or your stretching routine, and you'll slowly get good at doing the exercise, or you'll, what do you call it? You'll adapt to the exercise in a bit of time. So these are free mobility tests or exercises that I do like almost on a daily basis in my clinical setting. I also do them myself a lot because it's an easy way to keep track of your mobility if you're getting tight in certain areas. And also because I like doing overhead squats with weights, and you really need the mobility to be able to do that well. So let me know if you want to see something else tested. I'll try and keep my upload stream a bit more regular, like no 1 year breaks right now. So hopefully I'll see you online soon. See ya. Bye.